Okay, hi. So this is my theory. It is called consciousness-based cognitive behavioral therapy. It is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy that draws on Freudian, Adlerian, Rogerian, Gestalt, and Ellis's constructs to help individuals involved in domestically violent relationships change their perceptions of themselves and hopefully change their situation, whether that be to leave the relationship entirely or to be able to communicate effectively with their partner to fix their situation. So here's just a short video of what you probably don't know about domestic violence and abuse.
My boyfriend Matt wants to break my family up because he thought I was lying to him. He thinks that I'm not a good mom. He said I belonged on the streets and I was going to be homeless and that he was going to take my son from me.
Oh my God.
20-year-old Eileen says that her relationship with Matt is being destroyed by his controlling and jealous ways. They have a 1-year-old son together and another one on the way. But she's terrified to leave him for good because he threatens to take their son and leave her homeless. Robin, I want to ask you to weigh in on this really quick. Matt, she's my wife. She's also one of the leading domestic violence advocates in America. She has a foundation, When Georgia Smiled, and which is devoted to the prevention of domestic violence. And she has something called the Aspire Initiative, which is an interactive curriculum to help tweens, teens, and adults learn about and deal with domestic violence. And it's used in schools all over the country. It's been recognized for Congress, United Nations. This is used everywhere. And one of your points is it's not just physical violence, right?
That's right. A lot of people think that domestic violence is if someone hits, kicks, punches you. And what we're seeing here today is verbal and mental abuse. And it really, like you saw before the show, when you even had to whisper in my ear some of the horrible things, Eileen, that he is saying to you, that's verbal abuse. You are in an abusive relationship. And, you know, I've been sitting here during the show, and my instinct as a woman is to just run up there and grab you and just take you out of here as fast as I can, just run out the back door and just hide you and keep you from him. Of course, I can't do that. I want to. But what we're here to do today is to educate you and to tell you that you are being abused. You do not have to be talked to this way and treated this way. You can demand that he treat you with dignity and respect. You can demand that he treat you in an honorable way. And you can demand of yourself that you will not accept that of him. You have the right to tell him, you will treat me with respect. You will honor me. And you can make that demand of yourself. You can tell him, I am going to honor myself. I am going to treat myself with respect. I am going to treat myself with dignity, and I am going to give myself the right to walk away.
What do you think about what she's saying?
It's ridiculous. I break up with her all the time, and I've never told her that I'm going to take the kid.
What was it that my wife just said that was ridiculous?
No. I thought she meant with her. No, your wife she's always spot on. I thought she meant with her. I'm still stuck on what came up on the screen.
Okay, listen.
I'm still stuck on the screen.
Let me tell you why I'm not going to enter your OCD loop here about what's stuck on the screen.
Okay.
I'm not going to go play this game with you and argue the ridiculousness of the wording on the screen. Yeah. Let me ask you something. Are you abusive with Eileen?
Yeah, verbally I say very hurtful things to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you abusive with Eileen?
Yes.
Do you threaten her?
Can you elaborate on that? I mean, I don't. As in what, like?
Do I look like I want to play semantics with you?
No, you don't.
Are you? Do you try to manage her by intimidation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I say threaten her. So you verbally abuse her, you derogate her, you erode her self-esteem, do you not?
Yeah.
Now, you and I both know what's in these text messages that are too
Oh
disgusting
yeah.
to read.
No, I know
And
what I
I'm
say is
happy to read them if
ridiculous.
you want me to read them for all these people. You want to
That
talk about the wording on this screen? You want to go over some of the other wording?
no, I no,
I
I,
don't
I
think you do.
completely agree with you. I just don't want people to think that she's stuck in this relationship. Like I've broken up with her many times, and
You
she's
don't
the one
need to
that
worry
comes
about
back. I
what
don't.
people think. You need to
Yeah, I
worry
know.
about what you
I
think.
don't trap her in this relationship. That's all I want to get across.
Okay, you got that across. You don't trap her in this relationship.
Yeah.
Everybody got that? Everybody got that? He does not trap her in this relationship.
Okay. So just a few facts about domestic violence. Intimate partner violence alone affects more than 12 million people per year. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men aged 18 and older in the U.S. have been a victim of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And almost half of all women and men in the U.S. have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. So we are going to talk about Jane's story. So Jane is a young woman married with 2 children. She does not work and is a stay-at-home mom. She's a victim of domestic violence. Her husband verbally abuses her, and it often turns physical. So consciousness-based behavioral therapy, like I said, is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy that draws on a few different theorists that we talked about this semester. So CBCT operates under the assumption that what people think influences how they act and feel. Therefore, we must replace these old feelings with new and positive feelings. By focusing on exploring their upbringing and family structure, understanding what their basic needs are, becoming aware and accepting that the client is in control of their own life, and living in the present rather than focusing on the fears of the future, they will be able to overcome their psychological attachment to their abusers. So first, we would explore the defense mechanisms. So what defense mechanisms does Jane use to justify the way her relationship is? So for Jane, she might experience denial. She doesn't believe that name calling is abuse, and it hasn't always been like this, so she believes that her husband can change. So she doesn't appreciate the name calling, but she doesn't really fully make that connection that name calling is actually verbal abuse. She also rationalizes that she can't leave because she doesn't have a job, so she can't afford to leave and take care of her kids on her own. She also rationalizes that if she were a better homemaker, that she wouldn't be treated this way. So after we have established these defense mechanisms, we would begin to explore her childhood. So Jane has experienced similar trauma in the past. She admits that her father was verbally aggressive towards her mother, and her mother never stood up for herself and said that the man was the head of the household that should never be questioned. So from childhood, she has already seen this dynamic in a relationship and has put that expectation unconsciously in her mind that at the end of the day, her husband is the end all be all, and that she should just do what he says. And then as a child, Jane was a middle child, so she often felt like a loner. So subconsciously, she longs for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Therefore, when her husband gave her the attention, she feels like that kind of holds that into herself. So she is just seeking someone that will love and protect her. So although her husband is abusive, he still provides for her and her children, so he must love her. So her low self-esteem in that aspect causes her to stay. So no one has ever shown an interest in her like that, like her husband does, and she fears that no one will love her in the future, especially with 2 kids. So I can take this time and ask my client what she feels like her basic needs are in a relationship, and if they're even being met in this relationship. If she is unhappy in her relationship and does not like the way she's being treated, she has every right to leave. So I just reiterate that she is in control of her life and that her husband is not her controller. So I would use emotion-focused therapy to help her access and process these emotions to construct new ways of being. Jane shouldn't fear being alone to determine whether or not she should stay in the relationship. She should be excited to potentially start over, and she shouldn't feel guilty over a failed relationship. So because of this relationship, she uses the emotions to find self-worth, and then she can change her emotions to reflect what she does is good enough. So we would also use cognitive behavioral therapy. Rather than simply talking about her condition, Jane will be required to do something to bring about the change. So we would give her homework. She would communicate her feelings with her husband directly, stay positive, say positive affirmations daily to herself to increase her self-esteem, and then she could possibly find a job or a source of income that she can do from home.